further ado, man, let's roll right into today's video. I think instead of doing rankings for the quarterbacks drafted in this past draft class, I think it's better actually to break it up into tiers here. I kind of identified 5 tiers I think these guys kind of fall in, and I think it's a better way to approach it than rankings, because I feel like rankings is kind of based off more talent and quarterback play. And yeah, like the tier, the tier will kind of reflect and show that, but it kind of bumps some guys ahead because of maybe the situation they went to, the coordinator they're going to be working with, just the actual team in general. So things like that. I think looking at it in tiers is a little bit more of an interesting way to evaluate these quarterbacks and where they went. So let's jump into tier 1. Only one guy sitting in here, clear cut, day 1 starter, Cam Ward, Tennessee Titans. The more I think about Cam Ward, all the talk of he's not even the best player in the draft. It's Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter. He is the best quarterback in the class for what we know as the NFL now is, hey, you're picking first, go get your quarterback if he's there. And the more I kind of think about it, I think that this might be a Brian Callahan guy. I think you saw Levis, big arm, not very mobile in the pocket, not comparing Levis to Cam Ward by any means, but the problem with Levis was obviously the turnover issues, some of the interceptions that were absolutely mind-boggling that he was throwing. So you're picking first. You got to make a move to get competitive in this division. I mean, Cam Ward is phenomenal, a really good college quarterback, so we'll see how he kind of transitions. But the more I look at Tennessee in general, I kind of realize this is a good landing spot for him, right? They went out and addressed left tackle in free agency, Dan Moore from Pittsburgh. So you're getting a really good left tackle along with first-rounder last year, J.C. Latham. Callahan's dad is the offensive line coach, a really well-respected offensive line coach in the NFL. Peter Skoronski was a first-round pick, had to kick him into guard. So the offensive line really isn't an issue here. Kevin Zeitler as well. Calvin Ridley as wide receiver 1. It's not sexy by any means, but that's a pretty reliable wide receiver 1 for your rookie year stepping in. And then an underrated signing that they kind of flew under the radar with, Tyler Lockett. Tyler Lockett coming over from Seattle where he was a cap cut. I mean, that's a guy that you would love to have as a rookie quarterback. Possession guy, seems to always find the open spot in the defense, sit down. So I actually really like this fit here for Cam Ward. They went out and surrounded him with some weapons throughout the draft, young weapons. Elick Aominer from Stanford, kind of an inexperienced player because of him being at Stanford, but room to grow. Chamari Dyke from Florida, a burner. So they've kind of surrounded him and put him in a good spot. And like I said, capital, you're the 101. You're expecting to come in day 1 and be the guy. You got Warren Sapp giving you the number 1 to play there for the Tennessee Titans. So Cam Ward, tier 1, clear-cut starter in my opinion, absolutely. So breaking it off here, I got 4 guys here in tier 2, and they would be titled "Will Start Eventually." Not day 1. Maybe one guy in here could potentially be a day 1 if they don't address the quarterback room, but these guys will eventually start. Jackson Dart, first-round draft capital. This is deemed Brian Daboll's guy. Whether you like it, whether you don't, whether you think he's good, whether you think he isn't, it doesn't matter because he's a first-round pick, and even if he was a second-round pick, he'd still be in this tier. But we'll see, man. We'll see. From a player perspective, Jackson Dart can spin it. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a good quarterback. I don't know. This could be one we look back on in a couple years, and like I said in a recent video, could this be the pick that ultimately gets Daboll and Joe Schoen out the door? Abdul Carter obviously takes some pressure off of this draft class, but you trade 2/3 to come back in the first round to get Dart, and this is it, man. This is Daboll's not project, but this is the guy that he's got to develop to win him games to keep his job as a head coach for the New York Giants. Malik Neighbors, Wan'Dale Robinson, the O-line outside of really Evan Neal. I mean, it's okay. I'm not going to say it's absolutely great. I believe it's Andrew Thomas. I'm not going to just sit here and spitball roster names at you, but I'm saying like it's competent O-line play. You would imagine that the defense is going to be pretty competitive, right? Abdul Carter, Brian Burns, like a pretty good pass rush. Went out and signed Javon Holland from Miami, so it's a tough division too. Philadelphia is going to repeat. They're going to win that division without a doubt. Dallas is always going to be competitive, in my opinion, even when they're like 500, like they were there for a while last year. I mean, they're still giving teams their best games. Like Dak Prescott healthy, CeeDee Lamb. We'll see if they go out and sign Cooper. So Washington's not going anywhere. You know, Jackson Dart will start eventually. It's not going to be an easy division. Not sure how much success he and the Giants are going to have, but he's sitting here at the start of Tier 2 because two first-round quarterbacks, and here we are, man. I mean, he's not the clear-cut starter, obviously. Russell Wilson there. We'll see if they keep Jameis Winston around. It's just kind of interesting to me. I wasn't shocked. I knew pre-draft, just Shefty and Rap Sheet, those guys kind of leaking stuff, that was going to be the pick. And when they traded back into the first, a couple people who weren't really up to date, it's Shedeur. No, all the stuff came out about Shedeur. The Giants, they purposely put kind of the miscues in the plays that they do in the meeting, and he wasn't a huge fan of that. So Dart seemed to do better. We'll see, man. Transitioning off that, once again, not rankings. I'm putting these guys all in tiers, so I'm not saying that Jackson Dart is better than the guy I'm about to talk about, but they're in the same tier. Let's be honest about something. Shedeur Sanders will start eventually for the Cleveland Browns. We got to be honest with ourselves. There's going to be a time when Shedeur Sanders has a stretch of runs, of starts, I should say, in the NFL. It is going to happen maybe in a few ways, whether it's Cleveland isn't very good and they're eventually going to throw him out over Flacco, or I can't believe I'm sitting here saying this. Like, he's the best quarterback in that room. He's better than Flacco. He's better than Pickett. He's better than Gabriel. He's better than all these guys. He will start eventually. I'm not scared of the 5th round draft capital. He went in the 6th pick in the 5th round. That doesn't concern me. I think from a draft perspective, I do think that he was a borderline late 1st round pick, probably right around where Jackson Dart went, and the Steelers there at 21 passing on him. Early 2nd round pick. Like, I really thought Cleveland was going to pull the trigger on him there with the 201 in the 2nd round there, or the second one. This is their second rounder. Sorry, that came out a little odd there. That they picked up from the Jacksonville trade for when they came up and got Travis Hunter. They don't, and I mean, in the 5th round, they come out and say it when they draft him, and I hate to already throw Dylan Gabriel in this discussion because he is on this list that we're making, not in this tier, but this was an owner pick, I fear. I think eventually the owner may force his hand to make him start. I mean, Shedeur Sanders is going to get ticket sales. Let's be honest about that too. If it's not poor quarterback play that forces him into the game, Shedeur Sanders starting for the Cleveland Browns, that's going to get people in the building. It's going to get people in the stadium to watch your games. It's a franchise that really hasn't figured out the quarterback position in my lifetime, I don't think, other than the Baker Mayfield year where, he led him to the playoffs and let him go to Carolina. But do I think that they have a long-term starter here in Shedeur? I hope so. I hope so for Sanders' sake. I'm a Shedeur fan. I think the whole pre-draft process was obviously threw everybody off in the NFL realm of GMs, coaches, all that stuff. But I'm hoping that as time kind of progresses on, things settle down and he's able to kind of find his groove there with Cleveland, because who cares now? It doesn't matter what the Giants think of you. It doesn't matter what the Steelers think of you when you play them twice a year. It doesn't matter, because now it's time to strictly focus on Cleveland, Jerry Jeudy, Cedric Tillman, good defense always a pesky defense. So like Stefanski in his time as a coach has done well with pocket passing, good accuracy QBs, Kirk Cousins. I mean, this is a good fit for him. This was a good fit. I just hope that he makes the right decisions. He doesn't go AWOL at some sort if it's not his time immediately. If they do, say Flacco gets hurt or Flacco has 2 shitty games and they roll to Gabriel for a game who they drafted in the 3rd round, he's got to keep his cool, man, because I'm telling you, he's going to start eventually. He's going to have his chance. It's going to happen. So I got Shedeur there in Tier 2. I'm a firm believer in that. Next one, for all my Steelers fans, as of right now, May 4th, May 5th, by the time you're watching this, Will Howard will start eventually. No Aaron Rodgers, no other quarterback drafted by the Steelers, no other outside of Rodgers, no other free agent quarterbacks worth it. I mean, if Winston becomes a cut maybe down the line, training camp time, stuff like that, maybe Winston comes into play, but at that point it's really late. Like, Will Howard will start eventually. If this is the quarterback situation going into this year for the Pittsburgh Steelers, we're going to be seeing Will Howard, national champion of the Ohio State Buckeyes, starting games here for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I know a lot of Steelers fans actually don't hate this. In the 6th round, he throws it really well. Let's be honest about something here. He was surrounded by some generational talent. And when I say generational, Jeremiah Smith, that's a generational wide receiver. This is a 2027 hot take. That guy is better than Marvin Harrison Jr. He will be better than Marvin Harrison Jr. But Quinshon Judkins, 2nd-round pick. Travion Henderson, early 2nd-round pick. Carnell Tate, who we're going to be talking about next year as the Ohio State wide receiver to come out in this draft. Emeka Egbuka, like Josh Simmons, 1st-round pick, pre-knee injury. He was surrounded by some dudes. Now, at K-State, that's where it's like you kind of get a sense of what does he look like not surrounded by an absolute bomb squad. But still, I mean, he put up good numbers there at K-State and Ohio State, obviously. So you're walking in with DK, GP, Mike Tomlin. What does he look like with Arthur Smith is kind of my question. If he could potentially be that game manager, I hate saying this because I'm not talking down on Bo Nix because I really like Bo Nix, but what Bo Nix is to Sean Payton, could that potentially be what Will Howard can play quarterback that specific way for Arthur Smith? Because we know it's going to be smash mouth football. It was like that last year, really. Establish a run. We know I like Arthur Smith more as an OC instead of a head coach, but still, like I'm not huge on him. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. It's not going to be Mason Rudolph unless they're absolutely tanking for the first pick, the draft in 2026 in Pittsburgh there for Arch Manning if he declares. I'm not even sure he'd be QB1, but Will Howard's going to start eventually, man. I'm not going to ramble on too much about it. And the last quarterback here, similar spot, just 4 rounds before Will Howard goes. Tyler Shough is going to play games for the New Orleans Saints. Early 2nd-round draft capital. Derek Carr is giving sermons at a Las Vegas church about his shoulder injury. Like, give it a break, man. Relax. Kellen Moore comes over. This is not in the same kind of category as Brian Dable drafting Jackson Dart, but like this is the first quarterback in Kellen Moore's tenure here as a head coach for the Saints. He's drafting a quarterback. The fact that the fact that they passed on Shedeur here, and here we go. I sound like Mel Kiper Jr. It was just Tyler Shough. He's older than Trevor Lawrence. I'm sorry. This isn't about the player. This is about the tier. You kind of get a sense of how I feel about him, though. The guy had, freaking 2 or 3 full careers before he even got drafted. Oregon, Louisville, where he just came from, and then Texas Tech. So Tyler Shough will start eventually. We'll see what happens with the Derek Carr shoulder situation. Hell, he might end up getting surgery before OTAs and preseason rolls around, and we're talking about Shough's week 1 starter. Mickey Loomis and Kellen Moore might be absolutely crazy out of that. I know there's a small percentage of people who are on this Shough bandwagon and think he is, QB2 in this class, even behind or ahead of Dart and Sanders. So time will tell, I suppose, on that. So that's the end of Tier 2. And to kind of recap that, man, Jackson Dart, Shedeur Sanders, Will Howard, Tyler Shough will start eventually. Tier 2, lock that in. Tier 3, this guy gets his own separate tier. Jalen Milroe. And the title of Tier 3 here, Developmental. I think out of all the quarterbacks that were in this draft class, Jalen Milroe was the only developmental quarterback, right? Cam Ward doesn't need development. He's walking in, pick 1, let's roll. Jackson Dart, I guess, needs development, but because of his draft capital, he's kicked up to that Tier 2 of will start eventually, and probably quicker than he should. I guess that's the best way that I want to put that. He's going to get forced into action way quicker than what Jalen Milroe is. Milroe is sitting behind not only Sam Darnold, but I believe it's Drew Lock who came back to Seattle. I can double check that as I keep talking here. But I actually really, really, really love this spot for Milroe for a couple reasons. One, Mike McDonald, the head coach, who's a defensive mastermind. Where does he come from? Baltimore. Who did Baltimore draft there in the first round? Lamar Jackson. I've kind of made this comparison a little bit of Milroe to Lamar. Lamar, obviously, way better, in my opinion, coming out of college, both as a rusher and a passer. But the physical traits and the speed and the potential throwing that you can unlock from Milroe, I mean, that's why he's in this separate tier, and I'm looking at Drew Lock is the current backup. So Milroe is going to be sitting here as QB3, and he's just going to have an immense amount of time. I believe Darnold, it was a 2-3 year deal, 140-some million. So he's not in a rush. But if things go south here for the Seattle Seahawks, you are potentially not having to force your hand in an upcoming draft for a quarterback because you spent this third-round pick on Jalen Milroe. I think eventually we are going to see him play, start, and I will even say be somewhat successful in the NFL. That's kind of how high I am on Milroe. Perfect spot for him, in my opinion. I look forward to him down the line. I think, I saw somebody saying that Milroe was kind of like the Joe Milton of this draft class. I was like, bro, come on. No, I'm not even going to go into that. No. So, tier 3, only guy in here, Jalen Milroe. Seattle, I think you got a dog, man. I think that pick later on down the line hopefully pans out extremely well because I'm wishing the best for Jalen Milroe. Last thing I'll say about him, this past year, you have to remember a couple things. His wide receiver one, Ryan Williams, who's a really, really, really good player, don't get me wrong, 17 years old, freshman. That's your wide receiver one. It's also Kalen DeBoer coming over from Washington. Are we sure that Milroe was the best quarterback for his offense? We're coming from a Michael Penix, Washington, Odunze, Polk. I'm completely blanking on that third receiver. I'm absolutely Jalen McMillan. So are we sure that this Milroe, Ryan Williams, this was the best offense for those guys? I just don't think that we saw the best version of Milroe this past year at Alabama. That's kind of my final statement on him. So tier 4, another 4 guys on this list. So tier 2 and tier 4, the bulk of where these guys are. Tier 4 titled Uninspiring. It's just uninspiring, and the names in here aren't great. We'll first start with Kyle McCord, who's first in this tier, in my opinion, in terms of ranking. Guy can throw it really well, but all to 3 levels of the field. Goes to Philadelphia. It's uninspiring. It's a career backup, and that's fine. That's completely fine. I'm not shitting on that by any means. That's completely fine that you are going to be a backup for the first 4 or 5 years of your career. There's no way. There's no path to playing unless Hurts gets hurt. And they also traded for DTR from the Browns with the Pickett trade. So, I mean, 6th-round pick, see what you got, whatever. It's just, like I said, uninspiring. Second in this tier, Dylan Gabriel, 3rd-round pick. It's uninspiring because of this. When the Shough slide started, I truly believe that Barry and Stefanski looked at each other in the war room of the Cleveland Browns and said, "Hey, we may need to reach on our quarterback, whoever that they liked at the time." Milroe was off the board there at 28, so Gabriel picked 30. If it was Milroe, maybe you got sniped, but hey, maybe we need to force our hand here, so we're not going to be the team that takes Shough. So you reach for Gabriel, who in my opinion is 6th, 7th round, potentially UDFA. Short guy, left-handed, not a ton of arm strength at the NFL level. 3rd round, just because maybe, hey, this maybe gets us out of the way of taking Shough. When your owner ultimately steps in the 5th round and says, "Yeah, we're taking Shough Sanders, guys. We're taking the QB2 in this draft class at round 5, and he's in tier 2 because he's eventually going to start for our team over the rest of the bums in the quarterback room because he's better than everybody. He's better than Dylan Gabriel. Well, Dylan Gabriel, Oregon, success, yada. No. Relax. I guess Shedeur had an unbelievable wide receiver room at Colorado, and it really amounted to like no success in terms of team success. I mean, for hell, he got his number retired, and they were like 500 in his time as quarterback. So I get it. But when you're watching from a pure quarterback, like, okay, this is who I want in the NFL. Dylan Gabriel doesn't even cross my mind. It's 100 out of 100 times I would pick Shedeur over Gabriel. So it's uninspiring. He'll eventually maybe get a start because this is who Stefanski and Barry picked. But even when he gets in, I have a feeling this isn't going to go well. This is not a good NFL quarterback. Great college quarterback, UCF, Oklahoma, Oregon, like success at all three places, but when TJ Watt's rushing you, Shamar Stewart, who I'm not even high on, just got picked to the Bengals, Hendrickson, like, you're going into a tough conference too, the AFC North. He's going to get eaten alive in there, so uninspiring, man. Quinn Ewers, Texas, 7th round pick. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it. Tua's one concussion away from his career potentially being over. As sad as that is to say, I mean, let's be realistic here. The Dolphins are going to be an absolute dumpster fire. They're going to be a team that is competing for a top 3 to 5 pick next year. I truly believe that. Tyreek Hill will potentially be gone. Jalen Ramsey's going to be gone. Like, it is what it is. Zach Wilson will be the backup quarterback. Quinn Ewers is just uninspiring. Potentially, he actually should be in my tier 5. Also with Ewers, Riley Leonard, and I only have Riley Leonard here in uninspiring because, I mean, he's at least going to a place where the GMs came out and said, we need quarterback competition, but then proceeded to bring in Daniel Jones and now draft Riley Leonard. I mean, if I'm Anthony Richardson, not only am I just absolutely pissed, and don't get me wrong, I don't think that Anthony Richardson has lived up to any sort of hype that he deserves or credit or anything. I mean, this is the same guy who on a third down in like a third quarter last year in a regular season game is tapping his helmet to the sideline, hey, I'm tired, I need a drink. Joe Flacco is on the damn iPad on FaceTime with his kid, is huddling in the game here for a crucial like third down. That's not Richardson has stuff to clean up. This video, it's not about him. It's uninspiring. Riley Leonard, awesome success there this past year with Notre Dame, leading him in a national championship game. He's a pretty willing runner, like I'll give him that. Maybe we'll see him a couple of times with a design run, but it's like Daniel Jones is there too. Like Daniel Jones is your guy if you're doing a design run. But oh wait, why would you put Daniel Jones in the game to do a design run when you drafted Anthony Richardson at 104 in the first round because of the dual threat possibility and the huge arm. The guy can launch it 80 yards and then also break off 40, 50-yard runs. So it's like, whatever, man. Uninspiring. Word of the tier. And we'll kind of wrap things up here, 2 minutes or less, really. Tier 5, who cares? Graham Mertz out of Florida to Houston. No path to playing. C.J. Stroud, franchise quarterback, whatever. Curtis Rourke from Indiana to the 49ers. Who cares? Brock Purdy's about to get 400, 500, no, not 500, but who knows how much money he's about to get. He's about to get his extension. No path to playing. And then, honestly, this was kind of one that it's intriguing to me, I guess, a little bit. Cam Miller from North Dakota State to Las Vegas in the 6th round. Gino's the guy there as a bridge quarterback, but I kind of value him as a true starter for however long that is there in Las Vegas. So I hope he has success, man. WV guy, so rooting for Gino every day of the week. But Cam Miller was at least a little bit interesting to me. If I had to rank, I mean, in these 3 guys in Tier 5, Cam Miller would at least be number 1. I think maybe you have something there, but it's kind of my tier list, man. So somewhat of a quick video, but I just kind of had some thoughts brewing. NBA playoffs and NHL playoffs weren't really cutting it for me. I need to get on here and talk some football, so kind of apologize for the break and lack of uploading. Got caught up with some heavy schoolwork and some other things involved, so hopefully when finals and school semester here is over, hopefully going to be banging out videos just about every day, man. I'm kind of looking forward to grinding this a little bit, and we inch closer and closer to college football and NFL season every day, man. So, as always, I appreciate you guys watching. Like, subscribe, share. Definitely trying to get the subscribers up here and get this thing going, man. So, appreciate you guys watching as always. We'll see you in the next one.